John Skelton's friend took the stand today as well in the preliminary exam. He said that he really became closer with John as John was going through his marital problems and divorce with Tanya. I'm Melissa Andrews, a crime and investigative anchor and reporter covering the preliminary examination of John Skelton, who could be going to trial for murdering, allegedly, his 3 boys in 2010. So Mark Pilbeam, I'll put up a picture. So this is Mark. He said that his ex-wife went to school with Tanya. So he was married to this other woman at the time, and the couple spent time together. But as John and Tanya began having problems in September, October of 2010, he and John became much closer. He said at one point they were communicating up to 10 times a day, usually through text messages. So he describes Skelton, John, who didn't have many friends and was leaning on him increasingly during this time with Tanya, and that John was always asking him about Tanya. He was still in love with Tanya, and he wanted Pilbeam to help him smooth things over with Tanya. But he also described several conversations that became significant to him after learning the boys had disappeared. And one of those conversations involves this woman, Joanne Taylor, that we've heard come up again and again. Now, again, this is a woman who John said that he had met and had given the boys to for safety because he began to have a problem with Tanya being a convicted sex offender, which Tanya testified that John knew on day 1. So before Thanksgiving, Pilbeam says that Skelton told him he had met this woman, Joanne, and had somehow connected Tanya with her through the website Cafe Mom, but it was without Tanya knowing. He also testified about a separate conversation in September or October when Skelton said to him, this would be the second person verifying this, that Skelton said the best place to get rid of a body would be a hog barn because the hogs would eat the whole body. Remember, there were some little nuggets yesterday dropped about this. So here's where it's coming up again. Pilbeam was asked specifically whether Skelton ever mentioned that hogs don't eat teeth. I believe this was on cross-examination. He said no. He also testified that Skelton talked about Lost Nation and said that he would go there, Lost Nations, and said that he would go there to clear his mind and think. So remember that because that location is going to come up again, I'm sure, later. Pilbeam said that he believed that Skelton knew that area very well. There was testimony about the custody dispute. Skelton, he said, was frustrated because he was not getting what he wanted regarding custody of the boys. He wanted to move back to Florida where he'd grown up, but said that Tanya didn't want to go. And Skelton basically, according to Pilbeam, felt that he could just force Tanya to go by just going to Florida, and then she would just have to come along. But clearly that was not working. And then this was key too. Pilbeam testified about this key statement. He said, if he couldn't have the boys, then Tanya could not have them either. He said that John Skelton said that. He also now is expressing concerns about her sex offender past and what she might be doing to the boys, although Pilbeam said he himself didn't agree with those kind of statements. There had never been allegations against Tanya in the current day involving these boys. So he just didn't really agree with that. Then the boys disappeared. He went to visit John in jail 5 or 6 times, usually on Sundays. And he said he really began to be quite bothered during these visits because when they discussed what would happen to what happened to the children and that they were disappeared, it reminded me of the visits that the pastor said, that they had with John, she had with John. It seems like people are going to John and saying, okay, where are these kids? Where are these kids? What do you know about these kids? And Pilbeam said that he just wanted to keep talking about Tanya. What's Tanya doing? I love Tanya. How can I get back with Tanya? And so eventually Pilbeam says he stops visiting. One of those visits, though, was on January 9th, 2011. And he said that is when John told him about this alleged underground organization. And John said that he'd been communicating with this group for about a month before giving the children to them, and that the organization secretly evaluated Tanya, and he believed that the boys needed to be taken away from her. He said that Skelton claimed that the group picked up the children on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, and was supposed to return them on Friday afternoon. Now, why they would need to be protected from Tanya when they were already in his custody from Wednesday to Friday was not explained, but that's a question that popped up to me. He also said that Skelton did appear genuinely upset that the children were missing, and he was sobbing. He also wanted Tanya to drop the charges so he could go out and find the children and be there for her. The only thing is, Tanya's not the one bringing these criminal charges. Prosecutors and police bring criminal charges. And so there's nothing she can do about it if the boys are still missing anyway.